HGC Europe continues here as Expert is up 2-0 over beGenius. Now, both of these guys have had a really poor few weeks, the last couple weeks. Expert having really good matches overall, but never really netting a win, so they currently sit with a 4-6 record, where beGenius has yet to earn a victory, and it's not looking like today may be the case.
Yeah, at this point, beGenius is suffering once again. Expert is in a 2-0 lead, and they have now 3 potential maps to close it out and gain another victory that would help them, of course, with their playoff positioning. And that would put beGenius at an 0-11.
Yeah, 0-11. Very unfortunate for them, but they're already guaranteed for the Crucible, so maybe their eyes are set for that Crucible in the next few weeks, which will be fun to watch for sure. In the next couple of weeks, we have 2 of the open match teams that have a chance there to face off against the bottom 2 here and become a HGC official team, which will be a great weekend, so make sure you tune in for that. But the match continues today. Expert is getting ready for their 3rd map here. And from there, you just keep playing your game, it seems like. They're really controlling the battlegrounds. Yeah,
definitely. Expert is doing a really good job with those team fights in particular. And actually, we have also a replay of that last team fight that we kind of missed a bit towards the end of the game as beGenius was going in. So we take a quick look at that, as you can see here. So we have still a Trident versus 18 advantage. And there is the attempt with Nick. Just look at how much damage comes out of that big red button alone. This was an utter disaster on the side of beGenius. They get caught in that spot, and that just hurts.
Yeah, I'm going to take back my surprise factor statement, because that wasn't a surprise. That was literally a setup for, okay, we are here to contest this Shrine phase, which means we think we can compete with you if you engage.
I told you, it was a Christmas present.
Yeah, that was a hard engage. I mean, at some point, sometimes you're just losing, and you get to a spot where you're like, it's over, let's go in and see what happens. But I think you still had a chance there to really sit back and wait and defend.
I think it was definitely a Hail Mary attempt where they said, okay, if we don't win the Punisher, we lose the game. But I think with these comps and the 20 advantage, you have to realize there is just no way in hell you're going to win this fight. Go back onto your lanes, net the experience, sacrifice the keep in the mid lane, and try to make a stand there. Yes, you are going to be in a really bad spot no matter what, but you're not going to lose the game outright. Hindsight is always 20/20. They felt pressured, they went for it, and they lost the game. At this point, they just have to say, okay, forget about it. Let's focus on the next one. Guys, we're better than this. Let's do this.
All right, beGenius, let's go to game at number 3 and figure out where we are going. beGenius, I'm going to just throw it out there. Stop playing double support comps. It's not you, man. Play your aggressive play styles. We're going to go to BOE. This is the choice here for beGenius, and this is a battleground where if you want to play aggressive, you can make it work.
You do you, girl.
You do you, girl. Get in there.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see what the French players can come up with this time. They chose at this point to go onto our next battleground, BOE, and that, of course, is a bit of a game changer. 2-lane map where you have a lot of poke and aggression in the mid lane. So we're going to see a different draft from these 2 teams, and maybe finally the aggressive composition that we're hoping for, because as you said, double support just doesn't really seem to work out for them.
Yeah.
And if they go double support, I would love to have a Hyper carry Vala, maybe a Suljin, like anything that really just packs a punch with all attacks.
Yeah, you want to pick up heroes that don't have positional mistakes that are so punishing, like Gul'dan there. If Gul'dan steps out 2 to 3 steps, that entire team just falls apart completely with double support. Vala can overstep and at least make it work.
I actually think with what happened to Gul'dan there was also, he probably had his monitor positioned where he did not see what was happening above him, and he just saw that from the bottom there was an engagement with the Nubarak and other heroes moving in. So I think that was a natural mistake for him to make, to not have the perfect vision we have, move to the top and think, okay, this is my clear path to safety.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden Leoric shows up, and from the left side they're getting flanked by Malfurion that drops down the roots, and that puts him into that awkward spot. But you're right, Gul'dan doesn't have an escape tool. Other heroes have, and those are in such a crucial situation, just a bit more flexible to adapt to what's happening.
We'll see if we can have the adaptation from beGenius as our bans will begin. So far, we've been having map-specific bans.
And of course, our cameraman already has a priority on what he wants to see, going straight in on the Chen here. And yeah, that little panda could make all the difference.
I mean, it could mean Chen, or it could be...
No.
Okay. All right. I never get Water Dragon Lily, man. That's all I want.
She's shut down right away.
So good, man.
Savage.
I'm just saying, dude. She's so powerful. She's so good. Arthas being hovered here for Expert, and I think I agree with this, actually, because if this is a battleground where beGenius is going to pull out the Arthas like we've been wanting, which is so confusing to me. Arthas is probably in the strongest mode he's ever been since he's been in Heroes of the Storm, and Dantan was such an Arthas fanboy, and they're not drafting him.
Coming back to your Water Dragon Lily for just a moment, I nearly played her yesterday.
Yeah?
I was in an unranked draft with 5 people, and at some point they wanted to play double support and said, like, okay, please, you need to pick a second support that has a bit of a punch on it. Do you really want to play Water Dragon Lily? And I had her locked in, and all of a sudden the opponent picks her away.
Oh, body.
That just felt bad.
Outdrafted.
Yeah, outdrafted.
You probably got
right
destroyed
there.
in that game, to be
No,
honest.
we won that.
No, you totally lost.
We punished
You lost.
Lily.
You
We
didn't get the
punished
Lily.
Lily. We punished the panda.
Tomorrow morning before our match.
Send me the replay.
Send me the replay. We'll cast it. Tomorrow morning, we're going to play Lily before we actually go into HGC.
Yeah, we actually started to play on the European server before we head into our game, so we can do that tomorrow again.
Tomorrow I'll play some Lily.
But first of all, let's focus on the game here. I doubt that we're going to see the Lily in this match, but maybe there's a surprise for us. You've been talking about Arthurs, and Arthurs being banned out here is fantastic, and there is that Grey main ban. So there's a lot to talk about, so think about for a moment what map you're currently playing here. As we said, it's Battlefield of Eternity, so there's a few different rules that apply to the map, and especially any hero that can pressure the Immortal itself is usually rising in priority. And the prime example is Greymane. Greymane chunks away those hit points. He's super good for those team fights and also for the Immortal pressure itself. So a great ban on the side of beGenius. An expert with a Malfurion value.
And to continue on that point, heroes that you can be thinking about at home, Vala with her Hungering Arrow build. To a degree, even Tyrande. I know we were talking about off-support Lily. Tyrande on this battleground is actually a legitimate threat. She's kind of fallen out of the competitive scene, but in Hero League games, if you get a Tyrande with a Hunter mark and you drop it on an Immortal, and you have some kind of single target DPS, for the most part, you can walk away with the victory if you just race.
Interestingly enough, especially since we have so many double supports coming into play, this is starting to become a bit of a legit thing here on Battlefield of Eternity. And it was for the longest time one of the high priority picks for the map, because you simply moved in and you tried to raise the Immortal. Then the meta, of course, it started to change a little bit away from that strategy. So as you said, she has fallen off in that regard, but she can still be an option. And we see her these days oftentimes also with the Stitches being played. Dignitas loves to run this. A few other teams have picked it up. Just recently we saw also a bit of Stitches playing a similar combo from Fnatic onto the Spider Queen. So it's coming back. But in this game, it's the Vala, the arrow build. It's insane how much damage you can push out with Vala against the Immortal on BOE.
Double V pickups here, Vala and Varian. Varian, I think I want for beGenius. It gives them that engage, it gives them that isolation that we want so much. In fact, man, we spoke about Tyrande. I wouldn't mind seeing Tyrande a little bit later on here. You have the Vala DPS already, and you have the Varian follow-up when he goes in for the stun slow. It's usually pretty easy to hit that Lunar Flare and you can get a pick.
Wait a little bit for what Team Expert is doing.
True.
If there's a lot of jumpy engage on their side, then Tyrande falls off heavily.
Totally.
So that can be an issue. But Tyrande is actually a hero that beGenius has run in the past quite a bit. Araken was one of the players that played a ton of Tyrande months back, of course. But this is still something that we could theoretically see. But no matter what they are using to follow this up, I already like their start into the draft. The Variant shows more aggression. We have also Vala with that pressure against the Immortal, but can also help out to drop targets in the team fights. Has the poke, so this is more what I like to see out of them. An Expert staying pretty much true what they've shown so far. We have them with Anubarak and Sonya, also very strong against the Immortal itself, so that's a great start for them into the draft on top of this too, especially since, let's just face it, Anubarak Malfurion has been working out for them.
Yeah, Anubarak Malfurion bringing the root combo. It's very effective for Anubarak to dive in and you just have the Malfurion drop the root right away. Even if you don't hit the burrow charge for the knockup, usually that root coming in is going to hit as well, and you're going to be able to get that CC in. Now, Sonya being picked up, as you mentioned, great DPS for the Immortal, but do you think she really gives the control that an Expert really needs here to get into team fights?
I think so. You want to drive it home with the Sonya. You want to really go in and just get the spear in, hammer away, and then already get just a sustain through the whirlwind. So right now, I really feel the Sonya is really nice for them. I'm probably going to be Blade playing on her, and for the longest time, Sonya was one of the early picks that we had on the map. So I really like that she's being picked up here. She's being used a lot more just recently. beGenius also with a very good ban. I feel getting rid of the Medivh here makes a lot of sense. First of all, Sonya benefits from Medivh just to a fantastic degree.
Yeah.
And ADRD is kind of known for Medivh, I want to say. So yeah, get rid of that hero.
Well, Ariel and Lucio are the healers that are being thought about for Expert. Ariel, because of the battery with Vala, but Lucio, because if we get a second tank here, Expert could be ran over by beGenius by just going for a hard engage. They're trying to figure out which they would want to move into. Especially with that Medivh being taken out, they don't have as many escapes. So definitely taking some time to think about what pick they want. They elect to go straight for the Ariel band.
I like the Oriole ban, especially since one of the problems that Anubarak had to face in all of those games we've seen so far were the detainment strikes coming out of it and just simply butting him into like any kind of debris, and all of a sudden there's a kill. So that was really well done by Unstable, and I like that.
Especially on this battleground. You have so many corners that you get knocked into. Suddenly you get stunned up with the follow-up for the Mortal coming in with the stun, so that's so scary too. So Ariel now being banned out, which does leave Lucio available. beGenius will need their healer pretty soon here. Now, Lucio can be strong in double warrior compositions. It's almost taking over the place of Rhaegar, just being able to run around with the sound barrier and be useful. Do have to be careful though, because of the isolation that Expert has. Malfurion Roots and a Nubrak engaging can be deadly for a Lucio player.
Can always go Water Dragon Lily. Baited.
I'm down, man.
I know you are. No, but jokes aside, so when it comes to the supports, they have, of course, a couple of options. You're talking about the Lucio. It's also... Oh! All right, now we're talking. Aggression. We've been asking for it, and we're getting it. The Tassadar Tracer comp coming in. They can still drop a Rhaegar. They have a Lucio. They have a Rhaegar available. They can go for even a Karazim if they want at this point. Just bring all the pain, go in and get that 7-sided loaded up too. I like that. Tracer in the house. The
with
Cavalry.
Tassadar. It's funny, if it was 2 months ago, it'd be like, ugh, Tracer Tassadar again. But we haven't had Tracer Tassadar in forever, and we actually get a nice moment here. I'm actually genuinely excited here for beGenius to have this composition. We get to see their aggression coming in.
You have no idea how happy that makes me, because it's something that they've been running for so long. They ran Tassadar with Abathar, they ran Tracer with Tassadar. They ran an Abathar sometimes when they couldn't get a hold on the Tassadar. And this is something that just drives the aggression back home. And even if they fail with it, they are giving it a valid shot by saying, okay guys, let's fall back to the roots, let's do what we're good at, let's just try to crush them right here, get the aggression going. We have variants, so they can't use it against us with a taunt against Tracer, removes that aspect already. We ourselves can go in, drop the damage, bring the fight to the opponent. I like that.
And Team Expert decides to go ahead and pull out their Probius, which, by the way, we have ADR thoughts on Probius currently available on the Heroes of Storm website, and Karazim with the final lockup for beGenius. I love both drafts. You have Expert on the left, which we expect weirdness from. We have the Probius, which is great for the offlaning and clearing out those waves, but also controlling the Immortals. And then you have beGenius going back to their roots.
Yeah, I like that too. Probius, a lot of wave clear that they have now with this. But there's a lot of damage on Vala, especially with the arrow that she can use to put the pressure on the Immortal. And Probius still has to set up. But we have seen ADR do some cool things with Probius. Other teams have started to pick him up as well. Synergy being one of them. And this is going to be an interesting match for sure. I like that beGenius is using a different approach here. And they have to win this map now. If they want to still have a chance to win the series, then this is the one... the last stand for them, because if Expert, of course, takes it, then the series would end with a 3-0, and that would feel pretty bad for the French team here.
I mean, I'm excited for the Probius gameplay simply because of how powerful it can be. You mentioned the Hungering Arrow build being strong here for beGenius, but there is enough of a threat for Probius to walk forward, drop a pylon, and drop a photon cannon, turbocharge up to a lane, clear it out, and come back down if he grabs level 4 talent turbocharged. He's actually in a good spot to bounce back and forth and make it very hard for Vala to be effective. He'll be quite the busy bee, but it'll be fun to watch.
Probius in general is also like a fun hero. Until recently, I had no idea that he can actually heal pylons. So when I saw that the first time, I was like, really?
Yeah.
Because every time you try to drop the pylon first, since it doesn't really have a lot of hit points, and I was forced onto Morales duty at some point, and it gets pretty boring at some. So yeah, you start trying to heal everything that's around you, and all of a sudden you could heal a pylon. That's just... From a Zerg perspective, that just feels imba.
Yeah, it feels a little crazy, doesn't it? Ancestor healing on a pylon, that's going to be the new meta.
You're dealing with a cannon, right? Oh, that would look good.
That's the new meta right there. That'd be fancy. Photon overcharge being popped. He gets down to low health. Ancestral comes in, saves it, and the pylon wipes everybody.
Yeah, I'm thinking more about you accidentally misclicking the Ancestral at that point, and then the rest raging at you, blaming you for the... Yeah.
I just love how we think of different scenarios.
Support life.
For me, it's like, that's going to be a sick play that could happen. And for you, you're like, oh, it's going to be a misclick, obviously. You would misclick on the pylon. Like, you wouldn't even think of it being a sick play. It's so crazy how, savage you are.
Think about how much of a sick play that would be if you lose the team fight because there's a pylon around which the team fight happens, and Rhaegar misses that.
Yeah, I think I'd be pretty sick afterwards.
Yeah, I would be pretty mad if I was on the losing side.
Well, we are gearing up for Battlefield of Eternity. This could be our third map here. It could be the end of the series, actually, with Expert being up 2-0 over their opponent's beGenius. Can beGenius get a victory? They've gone back to their roots. Let's see.
It could be the final game of this series as we have Team Expert going up against beGenius on Battlefield of Eternity. Nick is playing Tychus. We have Bad Benny on Anubarak, Blade on Sonya, ADRD is playing the Probe, and Curson on Malfurion.
beGenius to the right in the red. Unstable will be playing Karazim. Danatan will be on Varian. Watch for him to go for the hard engages. Eric Keen will be on Vala. Kervois on the Tracer. And finally, Tank for the win on Tassadar.
beGenius, they want to bring the pain this game, and let's find out if that's going to be a successful strategy for them. We have beGenius rotating to the top, and Tassadar has the very unfortunate task of dealing with Probius at the bot lane. But Probius in general is a hero that oftentimes... Oh, nice. Yeah, look at Kirsten already in trouble. Tracer is moving in. They might not get a kill here, but they definitely earned a bit of respect from Team Expert in that fight.
Kervo goes at it, and do know it's a 1-on-1 on the bottom and the 4-on-4 on top. Typically, you have that 4 on the bottom and 1 on the top there, but the rotation between both teams is noted here, with Probius trying to hold that bottom lane. Danatan on the back left putting damage on Blade here.
That was actually well done because Team Expert was banking on beGenius moving to the bot lane with 4 and were aiming straight for that turret. That didn't work out. But one of the things that I want to say when we're talking Probius is that the little probe usually doesn't really have a whole lot of hit points. So if you have a Tracer zipping in, or maybe just Varian leading with a charge, you could see a snap kill against Probius. So that's something that ADRD has to be very, very careful about.
That's actually something he mentioned in the article.
Yeah, there we go.
Is something that you have to have very strong positioning on. And that was, what, 1 Clipper Tracer and an auto attack. And suddenly Probius is at half health.
Yeah, exactly. She just snipped in for a second, and in that instance, we have the probe down to half HP. So ADRD needs to be so careful with his positioning here.
So does Malfurion. Malfurion will have to be there with the heal. Now, he did get Scouting Drone. That'll be helpful for knowing where Tracer is coming from and angles so he can reposition. Now, the Immortal spawning in the next 6 seconds. We'll see how our teams will move over and grab the Immortals. Vala, for now, does have that Hungering Arrow build we were talking about, so she can start chunking.
Yeah, as we are going into this, I also want to highlight real quickly that Probius was picked into the Tracer. So it's not that Tracer was picked up later. Probius is dead, and ADRD with the confidence to say, yes, we're going to pick Probius, even though they have the Varian Tracer on their side. That could pay off, but that could also be something that they pay for dearly. Now we have the fight for the Immortal, and thanks to that early kill against Probius, beGenius is looking strong and is pushing this one down to 50%. Easy peasy.
Yes, they are. They're going to get a nice lead here, which forces Expert to defend on the next phase. They're going to put all 4 members near that Immortal if they can. Blade, Curson, Nick, and Bad Benny hoping to defend while Probius gets to lane and starts clearing out, but he has to be careful again. That Tracer coming down.
Tracer is already here, says hi, and just look at how much pressure there is on ADR, and he's going to die again. This is just Probius appearing on the lane, Tracer saying, cheers, love, and it's another kill right in the back.
ADR feed, man. Poor Probius getting caught up multiple times here by the Tracer. Great heads-up play here from beGenius.
Yeah, and as Kerrigan said, only a dead Protoss is a good Protoss.
The Caldor motto. 4-3 for beGenius. They are heavily ahead here. They're going to start working on their Immortal phase as the Expert is just hoping to get some kind of shields on their own Immortal for the defenses. They're going to clear out a few here and get 4 themselves. Just to note, ADRD was actually moving into that top location to put down a pylon so he could see if Tracer comes in. It was just a big, fast heads-up play there from Kervois.
And there he is again. You have to remember that Protoss are basically the elves of the StarCraft universe, and nobody likes a tree hugger.
I like trees, though. They help us breathe. You gotta think about the positive, man.
Hey, I didn't say anything against trees, okay?
Oh, okay.
There's a difference.
Ah, Caldor. All right, Danatan engages on Nick. He gets poked here. Unstable, helping out with the push, and beGenius, surprisingly, in game number 3, has a massive lead here, 6-5, and they're continuing their push.
And how did they get it? With aggression. That pro pick, of course, helped, but beGenius is playing that aggressive game that we have been asking for so long. Punishment picked by Vala on 4. Now, I am very interested in that particular pick. That is not something that you usually see too often. That damage stacks that you get on the quest talent on level 4 is normally something that every Vala player is very happy to pick up. Punishment can be nice, but especially if you're trying to race, I'm not sure if that's necessarily needed. It feels a bit that they are worried about their wave clear.
Yeah, it's helpful for the wave clear, but I also like it for the team fights. You have 2 solid single target DPS with Tracer and Karazim. If you get a multi-shot and hit multiple people, get 3 to 4 people on the low side, you can really start to snowball fights as is, and you can have the ball in the background being safe completely, where Tassadar can focus on that Tracer and stay near it.
Okay, now I'm really curious to see what the 7 is going to be for Vala. Is it still going to be a okay, so they go into Arsenal. All right, so basically the thought process for Vala is really, hey, I need more wave clear for my team because we don't have enough wave clear heroes. We have the Varian at the front. So they go for a bit of a hybrid build, and the 7 talent would have revealed how much of a priority the Immortal Pressure is for Vala. Since the repeating arrow on level 7 would allow you the double arrow, and that is usually one of the biggest tools that you have against the Immortal. But what beGenius is doing here with Vala is trying to play a hybrid build where they go for the extra damage against the Immortal on the arrow on 1, and then just spec into wave clear so that they are not faced with later on Probius, for example, just pushing lanes and they can't meet that wave clear. So it's an interesting approach. Haven't seen that, but there's a certain logic to it given what they're using as a lineup, because the only hero that really has wave clear to that extent outside of Vala is the Tassadar with the Storm.
Yeah, it's a bit more restrained, but it takes the overall arc of the team comp and kind of flattens it out and makes sure that they can do everything well.
It's a great example for adjustments to your draft and to the map. So that's what they were the most afraid of, and they are trying to mitigate that by different talent choices. Because normally on this map you see a full-on arrow build with everything spec'd and a repeating arrow as well. But the 10s are going to come in soon. Once again, we have the Immortals on the map, and so far we see beGenius with a focus on the opponent's Immortal. A bit of a different attempt by Expert, who are instead trying to go for the structures to net some more experience and find themselves in a decent spot. Kieva is providing vision. The rest of the team should be able to move away. A couple of dashes of Unstable bring him back to safety. And now we have a slight lead in the Immortal fight for beGenius, and Team Expert is now willing to take the fight.
Probius taking full Phantom Cannon Bill will be able to push in that top lane, is wanting to rotate, has set a pylon up to make sure he doesn't die to Tracer again. Tracer will scout that out. And Expert just holds here. This seems to be their plan overall, is just keep 4 people near the Immortal, play slow and defensive, and attempt to make them deal with the Probius wave clear. However, beGenius, when they get 10, they'll have the engage they want. They can charge it, they can drop taunt, and it'll be very hard for Team Expert to control that, especially around the Immortals.
Probius up at the top lane in trouble, nearly falling here. Once again chased down. Kieva went in deep, but Nick is all of a sudden attempting to drop Tracer. Kieva is still alive and finally falling after the recall. That was a very good rotation by Expert to the top, but Probius under a ton of pressure once again.
Big heads-up play there by Expert, realizing that the Probius was the constant focus of the Tracer. Turn around and get a takedown. Blades here to defend the Immortal. Now some teammates coming in for the rotation. We're going to see if Expert's going to be able to win this Immortal phase as they do get closer to 10 with that kill.
Vala already moving back once more. Spear connects, but the Vault is ready. Always dropping those arrows. This is one of the main damage tools against the Immortal, and they find themselves in a really good spot. Tracer is also back to business, and ADRD currently busying up at the opponent's Immortal, attempting to push beGenius behind. Will have to face Tracer once again, but the level 10 is already in play for Expert.
We have the Cocoon set up. Sonya has yet to pick her Heroic with the Ferocious Healing. We're going to see what they're going to be moving into here. We're also going to have the Photon Cannon working on the Immortal. ADRD has been using that on the top left to get it low on health. Now he brings the Photon Cannon down to the bottom left, giving them vision so they can go in for the engage.
10 is now ready. Cocoon is in play. We have the Palm, we have Taunt. So at this point, also Archon plus, of course, the Rain of Vengeance. But look how low that Immortal on the side of Team Expert is. And they are in a very awkward spot. If they move away and try to get hit points off beGenius Immortal, there would be an immediate move in. But if Tank or Danatan die here, that would be a big issue. Unstable finds himself on the wrong side of this fight, but is able to dash away.
Expert does pop the Photon Overcharge, which makes him get zoned out. Members low here for beGenius, and Karazim, not being the best at topping everyone off for heals until they group up, is going to have a hard time making sure to pad on his teammates' health bars. Kirbois diving in on the Probius, getting low on health. Kirbois still low. Bad Benny diving in.
Yeah, diving in. Kirva still alive. Super risky play by him, but it seems to be paying off, at least for now. ADRD is low. Everybody else on the side of beGenius is pretty much on low HP as well, though. And so far, not even Cocoon has been used. That's a tool that can still be executed by a Nubarak to force a battle here. They're still dancing around the Immortal, waiting for an opportunity to drop a few more arrows in from Vala. Already making the approach. Kirva in the backline, looking for an opportunity with Tracer.
ADRD put a Photon Cannon up there, so he's working on the Immortal. Immortal while he can. It's all hands on deck, though, for defense. Unstable moving in to start punching the Immortal. Can he get it? He gets isolated here. The Twilight Dream does come out, but they do grab the Immortal. Cocoon from Bad Benny, they want to fight.
There comes the fight. There comes the battle. They're going for it. Once again, Cocoon is about to expire. Probius with the setup is trying to go for it. Vala low, gets the shield, but dies regardless. Double kill for Team Expert as the Immortal is being picked up by beGenius. They get the objective, but they pay with a high price.
What a fun comp to watch here. Team Expert on the full defense, beGenius on the full aggressive playstyle. They net the Immortal here, but you can see the cogs turning for Expert and how they have planned to handle the next Immortal phase. And with Heroics unlocked here, they'll have a solid chance for setting up for the next one.
I'm not even sure if they needed to go that deep with that kill. I mean, as Karazim moves in, he obviously said, okay, I'm willing to die here.
Yeah.
Yes, if he can get his palm through and survives a bit longer, maybe he can dash out. But when he made that move, he was very well aware of the risk that he was taking. So they were willing to sacrifice someone. I think they could have played that even a bit slower now that they have Tacita and Vala, and just say, as long as we dance around them and have a bit of vision, let's just play this slow. They can't go for our own Immortal. So I think there were options for them. But after all, they take down the fort at the bot lane. beGenius now, focusing down the one to the top, sacrifices their own fort at the bot lane as Team Expert is making a move for structures, but they can try and push maybe even for the front keep.
It's a hard decision to make in that situation because of the Photon Cannon constantly being putting down the opposing Immortal. Like, if you don't get your poke to actually go in enough to kill that Immortal, do you lose too many shields to be effective? It's such a weird decision to make, but KRZ making it and going in and grabbing that Immortal. Overall, though, our teams are very tight as they move towards 13.
I like the style out of beGenius so much more than what we've seen so far from them.
Agreed.
This is really the aggression that they show. Yes, they are sometimes maybe a bit over-aggressive, but this is, first of all, it's cool to watch, it's great for the fans, and it's also something that puts them into a much better position than anything we've seen so far. This is way more successful already as is. An early taunt against Bad Benny. He's able to move out of this one. The aggression is still there. Immortal spawning in another 28. Tracer already with an attempt to see if maybe that camp is taken to the left, where ADRD and his Probius are currently set up, but he decides to move back before there's a potential lockdown against Tracer. They themselves are now taking their own camp, and both of the teams will be in level 13 talents once that we are fighting for the Immortal.
All right, let's watch and see how these styles clash once again. Bad Benny playing aggressive here on the left with Tracer being in the top. ADRD does sit down one pylon, wanting one more in case Photon Overcharge comes in.
I have to give a quick shout out to Curson. He's absolutely fantastic when it comes to his Malfurion play. The zoning that he uses with his roots is awesome. We've seen in all of the games, every time that Bad Benny makes an engage, Curson is ready with the roots, and once again, he was just saving the retreat here. Great play by Curson on Malfurion. He was a bit of a weak point for Expert a while ago, a few months ago, but I feel like he really stepped up his game quite heavily, and the supports in general in the European scene have been just improving so much and really enabling a lot of the plays that we see out of their tank frontliners and also the damage dealers, of course.
Well, speaking of Curson, he's playing as anchor for his team, always putting them in a spot to where they can retreat to in case they need help. You can always drop in the Twilight Dream. There is a big Merc push on the top left that Team Expert needs to deal with. They have elected to send Sonya over while they have two pylons set up, but they have Photon Overcharge available if they need to engage. Taunt comes out. Immediately, we have the cleanse from Curson.
And the Cocoon was also used, so that was a good save on Tychus, but they dropped a fair amount of cooldowns to make it happen. Now cleanse out, that's a 60-second cooldown, and of course another 47 until we have Cocoon back in the game. But Expert is really starting to make a bit of a stand here for this Immortal. They are pushing in slowly and steadily. Thanatan pressure at the front, Kieva moving into the back, but that ain't Navala. No arrow damage against the Immortal just yet, but Bad Benny is low.
And we have Blade spinning here, hitting multiple members. Twilight Dream does come out. Blade will survive for now, but so does beGenius. With the Archon being out, they're looking for some damage, but Tank for the Win just can't seem to find the opportunity.
Spin to win, the taunt is out though. Blade is able to escape. Varian with a parry once more as the Immortals change position. This time beGenius finds themselves on 50% HP. They are moving in again, and this is an opportunity for Vala to finally get a couple of shots in.
Team Expert on the left side is forced to defend here while members are tapping. Bad Benny charges in. He does hit Danatan, and that will be a dead warrior. Kirwa being focused now, unstable, also low on health.
Fantastic Cocoon out of Bad Benny. He cocooned before they dropped Varian to make sure that Karazim could not use his Divine Palm to save the front line.
Blade and crew now winning that team fight. Will move straight for the Immortal, and this should be an easy grab for them. And they will have a very hefty Immortal ready for a push in that top lane.
I really like how both of the teams approach this now, especially Expert chaining what they are their cooldowns to get those kills. Cocoon in that situation is just so crucial because you know that at this point Karazim is just waiting for an opportunity to drop the palm and save the front line. So that secured the kill and also the Immortal. Great play here on the side of beGenius as he engages. And also, of course, beGenius still looking for these opportunities to get a kill. And outside of the double kill against Probius in the early game, they haven't been able to lock anyone down yet.
Yeah, this is the, while we like the style of beGenius, so I'll throw that out there, we love this aggressive style. It's much more entertaining to watch. It is something that they pull off well. The problem with it, and why they probably don't run it as much, is this puts a lot on Kirbla to be effective. Get those kills, and he's not having a chance to pick them off here as we've been getting into the mid-game now. With that said, this is probably the best that we've been seeing in the last couple of weeks. We'll see if they can defend this big Immortal push that's coming their way.
Also talking a bit about ADRD, since we have been mentioning him dying in the early game, he completely switched his build to what we've seen him play so far. He goes full cannon rush in this game, speccing on 1, 4, and 7 into his cannons, and that really just caters towards the map. It's not the build that he uses normally on Probius that we've seen so far, and it works out for them. And at this point, it works out not only with a kill, but also with a keep.
The Archon's pop, but the web comes out. Twilight Dream connects. Blade leading the charge here. He's looking for Danatan. He's going to hit the Q. He's going to be diving the keep. Eriki won't be able to kill him off, but he has to go back and defend his core.
Hashtag worth it. Core already moving down in hit points. beGenius is in trouble. They're 0-2 in the best of 5, and it looks like Team Expert is going to clench out another 3-0 victory. beGenius going down in flames as Expert grab the win on Battlefield of Eternity and take the series.
Expert getting a much-needed win there to continue being in the middle of the pack, so they'll continue to stay in 4th place. They still have a long way to go before they catch Dignitas, but this is a great way to start and keeps them around that 4th spot that a lot of people have been putting them.
At this point, we have Expert doing extremely well. beGenius now 0-11 on the other hand, but with a very aggressive playstyle on the last map, which actually granted them an experienced lead at times.
Yeah, it's got to be hard to be beGenius right now and be 0-11. They've tried so many different styles. I think overall, when we've seen these different styles played, what works for them is the aggressive way. They just need to keep working on that and keep moving it in and be prepared for the Crucible, because obviously that's where they're going to be. But definitely when they go to the Crucible, I don't want to see double support stuff. I don't think that will get them a spot to stay here in the HGC. Regardless, though, we still see moments of glory. Great picks on the Probius there in the bottom left lane. But what a fun style to watch here on BOE.
Also, the adaptation that we had on Probius by ADRD was pretty cool. Going just with the knowledge that everything is going to happen in that middle of the map during or around the Immortals, and just focusing fully on his cannons, going full cannon rush here with the probe. That was pretty fun to actually see that he adapts the build to that extent. Since when we had him played on Braxis Holot, for example, that just didn't come into play. So there's a very different styles that we have that cater towards different goals. And it's pretty sweet to not only see them use heroes that are a bit out of the norm, but at the same time also adapt them to such an extent to the occasion. Yeah,
the Photon Cannon build I think could be good on that battleground and also Sky Tipple. You want it on battlegrounds where you're going to be fighting around a long area for a long amount of time. So if you do want to run that build, if you want to copy the ADRD, you can definitely run it on those battlegrounds. In fact, we're going to be doing an interview with him very soon, and we can ask him more a little bit about the Probius. But if you want more information about the Probius, go to heroesofstorm.com/esports. There is actually an article right now. ADRD gives you all his thoughts about the probe and what it can and cannot do. It's always refreshing to see his inner mind and his thoughts being put out on paper, because that guy just thinks about the game in a different light.
Yeah, and also, who better to give you some advice about the odd picks than the mad scientist himself?
The mad scientist himself always giving us information, so make sure to check that out when you actually have the chance. I believe it went up on Thursday. So, again, congratulations to Expert getting their victory. Gotta call out Bad Benny going in, man. He was so aggressive on that Anubarak. Really seems to be at home on that hero.
Yeah, they prioritize Anubarak very highly right now. And also, as I said during the game, I feel Curson has really stepped it up. There was a point, it was last year, when I was looking at Experts games and I really felt, okay, Curson is just not on the same level there.
Yeah.
And similar to other players, we said the same thing at some point about Smexy, where Smexy was even worried about his teammates on Fnatic maybe thinking about replacing him. And he just stepped it up and became one of the best supports in Europe. And Curson has just made Malfurion his own hero. The routes that he he puts down, it's just so amazing. It's not only him following up on a stun, but always understanding when he needs to zone for someone on his team, when he's trying to trap someone on the opponent's side with a good route. So he's absolutely on point with these plays, and also great Twilight Dreams that we saw throughout this series. Very well done.
Yeah, so Expert over the next couple of weeks should have an easier road compared to the last few weeks. Do remember that all of their losses have been the top 3 and then Tricked Esports, which was an incredible 3-2 game that happened. But Expert now back on the potentially a winning streak. We'll see how it'll occur. Now, we are getting set up for ADRD. He is over here on the side, so whenever he is ready, we will begin the interview. ADRD, thank you for joining us.
Hello.
Hello, how's it going, man? You got to pull your Probius out. Are you happy?
Yeah, I'm happy, but like this game was kind of unlucky because I died 2 times. It was a kind of miscommunication, and Tracer is really good versus Probius to hunt him down when I don't have my team around.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, Tracer versus Probius. You picked Probius in the Tracer, so you felt very confident with your team's communication, or did you just feel pretty confident in your gameplay, so you used it anyways?
I was confident in my gameplay. Like, as soon as we got out of the laning phase, I don't think I was like in trouble because I had my team scouting for me. I also took Spell Shield on level 4, so the bomb was maybe wouldn't kill me, but it never hit later, so
okay.
I think Probius is just good on Battlefield.
Well, one last question before I send you over to Caldor. That build in particular, you went full Photon Cannon. Is that one that you can pull off on different maps, or is it one you only pull out on BOE?
I think you can pull it on different maps, but I play it very rarely. I just thought it's good here because I can keep my cannon up easier, so I get Spell Shield, and I think I was the main target to kill here.
Awesome, very cool. Over to Caldor.
Okay, so first of all, of course, congratulations. You guys had a great showing there. I want to ask one more question about Probius. We've mentioned before that right now you also have an article on the HGC website talking about the hero. Where do you feel Probius in the current meta stands? How strong do you feel the hero is as a solo laner?
I am actually not sure myself. Like, we're playing with Probius from time to time, and sometimes it works out great, and sometimes it's not that strong. So I think I need more time still.
Okay, talking about the victory that you have right now against beGenius and this battle that we have between between the playing Ducks and you guys for our positions in the ranking, where do you guys see yourselves? You had a bit of a rough stretch just recently. You had 5 losses in 6 games, I think. So now you have another victory. Do you feel this is going to give you the momentum to just aim for a higher spot in the playoffs? Or where would you see yourself compared to Tricked and playing Ducks now?
I would say in Europe, I would not be surprised with any results in playoffs, because it will depend a lot on the new patch, because it will change a lot probably, and also it will depend how the team will feel during the specific day. Like, I think like we lost versus Tricked last week, but I think it might have been partly because like we had like worse day, they had better day, and the game was like still close. So I think the European scene is still open to any results.
Okay, one more question that I have, just also with this situation about Team Expert now in particular. Blade has released a statement where he was talking about Ethereal Angel, about him seeing that he is not on the same level as the rest of the team, that he's trying to improve to fill that position. How difficult does it make it for you guys with scrims in general, with practicing, and also does it put a stress on you knowing that Blade is one of the players that might not be with the team at the end of the season, that Ethereal is also not only a substitute player that you used last week, but also that you have to practice with him a bit more? How does this entire scenario, does that pose any problems for you as a team with the practice?
I think our practice is like a little bit worse, but I wouldn't say it has very big impact on us, because we play like sometimes with Atero, sometimes with Blade. We want to see how it works out, but like soon we stop playing with Atero at all, so we can prepare for playoffs, because we think that we still have a chance to get that spot, so we will still try our best.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much for being so open about this.
Well, ADRD, before we let you go, let's talk about next Friday. You're facing off against Synergy. Are you ready for the matchup?
Yeah, I think we're ready for the matchup, but to be honest, we prepare more for the Team Liquid matchup, because I think it's more important for us.
That's fair. Totally fair. Awesome, man. Congratulations on your victory today. Before I let you go, ADRD, let us see your shout-outs. Who do you want to call out?
Shoutouts to my team and like Team Expert and all our sponsors, and to all my fans.
Awesome. The mad scientist himself saying thank you to his fans. Thank you so much to ADRD, and congratulations to Expert for garnishing a nice victory today.